Hi, this is Joe Rabil with Invest Like a Pro. I want to give another example of momentum divergence, but this time I'm going to focus. I'm going to really focus on the ADX. Um, MACD. I could show you the MACD on these, and there would be some momentum divergence in place without a doubt. But there's something really specific that I want to point out. The ADX is a very powerful tool to help with stock selection, as I've mentioned in prior videos. And also, but another factor that becomes very, very helpful is it can be a huge advantage when it looks like the trend could be exhausted, or if a trend has been moving, you've had a stock moving in a direction either up or down, and it looks like the trend maybe has run its course. A lot of times there'll be a glaring signal in the ADX pattern. And so that's what I want to talk about this time. So I've got a spider trade, the index or the spider ETF up here. The daily chart is on the left. The hourly chart is on the right. I'm going to start as I always do with the upper time frame, the higher time frame, and I'm going to show where in October you sort of broke out and started trending to the upside. A really nice pattern of higher highs and higher lows. It was confirmed by the ADX strength because this line here is the 25 level, and every time price went to a new high, you had the blue line, the ADX line, also crossing above 25. I like to see it get above 30, somewhere around 30. If it just goes to 26, that doesn't really thrill me. But as long as it can make it up to 30, I think you've got enough strength to continue the trend. So that's really what I'm looking for. When a stock is making new highs, I want the confirmation on the ADX to tell me that if it pulls back, the odds are you're going to at least go back up and test and probably make another new high. So it's giving you the ability to sort of see the potential for continuation of higher highs and higher lows. So if we follow this up, it made a new high here, and there was very good strength in the trend based on the ADX. And then we pulled back, and the ADX dropped down below, right at the beginning of February, it dropped down below 25 for the first time during this pullback. That was a pretty harsh pullback. A lot of negative DI action taking place there. And then we rallied up to a new high right about here. And if you notice, the ADX line is really low, down around 1920. And so, as I've said in other videos, with momentum divergence signals, you don't just short the moment a momentum divergence shows up. It's really just the potential for momentum divergence. And what I like to do at this point is I know there's a potential for momentum divergence, so I'm on the lookout, and I like to go down to a lower time frame and start to look for signs either on a 1, 2, 3 change in trend, or potentially another momentum divergence signal on that time frame, which would give me a really early signal that could really improve my risk reward. So if you go and you look at the smaller time frame, let me just do this. And highlight this area again, because that was really where we went to a new high. So as we go to a new high here, we can see that, actually, let's just start from the beginning on the hourly. So here's the new high here on the hourly. Now that we know where we are, I'm going to take this off so we can see a little bit better. So I can see that ADX made a very strong reading on the hourly, pulled back, made another new high here, and ADX made it up to about 30. Again, when I see that, I feel like there's a pretty good chance that the trend could continue for now. So we made another new high. It trickled a little bit higher, and then it had a kind of a deeper pullback. And if you notice on this pullback, the ADX got pretty low. It had dropped down below 25 and got pretty low. What's concerning, though, is when we made a new high at this peak. And if you look at where we were at that point, you can see the ADX again was still right around the 20 level or something like that. It really had not rallied very much. And anything below 25, when price goes to a new high, and ADX has been making higher highs, making highs above 25. The first time it doesn't make a move above 25 is a pretty big alarm. It's a big red flag for me that says there's probably a problem developing in the momentum. So what I've got is on one time frame, no ADX. So the higher time frame shows no real strength in the ADX. You made a new high on the daily and you couldn't get above 25. I kind of view the 25 level. If you stay below 25 when price is going to a new high, it's kind of like the fuel for the trend. It's like you're hitting the accelerator and there's just no gas in the tank. So once I see that and then I go and look at it, let me just clear this out so you can see. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this time frame and look at how when price went to a new high here, the ADX stayed really low and there's just no ADX. There's just nothing here. The ADX can't make it above 25. So from that standpoint, when I see that on back-to-back time frames, I'm going to be on the lookout for the first sign that the trend is sort of turning back down. So my partner and I actually did the puts in this one as it broke down through the 18 and the 40 on the short on the 60-minute chart. And the idea is the beauty of options is obviously you only risk what the money you put up, and especially with the market indices, I find it to be a lot better to use options. Because, we could come in the next day and it could have gapped up 40 points instead of dropping down 50 points. So you never know. All you're doing is playing the probabilities. But when you can't control the risk, sometimes you can't control the risk in the spider by holding it overnight because there's such massive gaps. If you do the options, you can control the risk because you're only going to lose the amount of money that you put up. So that was the reason why we really like that, find that attractive. So as it was coming down, made a pretty strong move to the downside and then actually rallied up by the end of the day and we were about at a break even. The next morning it came down and tested the prior low from the prior day. And we took a third of our options off, which essentially paid for the trade. Anything happened after there, we knew we had broken even at the worst case scenario on the overall trade. As it turned out, we got a pretty big move in our favor, obviously, with the big gap down. I really don't like to cherry pick trades like this and give you, make it look like, we're geniuses or anything like that. I think that the idea is that I'm trying to show perfect examples or really, I think, quality examples that give you a very good idea of how to use these specific indicators and how they can be very helpful to you. So this is a momentum divergence, but it's a momentum divergence using ADX as opposed to MACD. And the ADX, I find periodically, this doesn't happen very often, but when it gives you a signal like this, where it's an exhaustion signal, it can be it really can be a sign that the trend is reversing as opposed to just pulling back. What MACD does quite often is when you get the divergence in place, it's usually just a retracement back into support. So it's more of a trading play. But there are times in ADX where when you get this type of exhaustion pattern, especially in two different time frames back to back, that you can expect a bigger move to play out for you. So just to give you an idea, though, the options on these, we did them at like 54 cents or something like that. And they opened up somewhere around 11 or 12 in this zone down in here. I think it was around 11. So you can make really big money with the options. It's not the type of thing that I'd recommend doing all the time because, again, if it doesn't work, your timing has to be very good to want to use options. But in the right situation, they can be pretty powerful risk reward type of a thing. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Please hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe and make sure you hit the bell to make sure you get notifications on any new videos. Thank you.